So in today's video, we're going to be talking about my ownership experience with my 2013 BMW M135i. But before we get into that, make sure to go and check out shopmcgarage.com for all the latest merch. We've got hats, hoodies, canned coolers, shirts, everything. Any profit that I make goes straight back into making more videos. I've had this M135i for about 3 years now, and I've never really made an official video on it. It's just sort of appeared in the odd video here and there. So I thought I'd make an official introduction to it. So what we have here is a 2013 M135i with the pneumatic wastegate, unfortunately. When I was working at a BMW dealership, this car was traded in. It was traded in with no problems, or so I thought. And so these have really come down a fair bit in price, just like a lot of other cars have, unfortunately. So that's something to look forward to if I ever sell it, which I probably will at some point. But yeah, so it's the 5-door in, I believe, Arctic Silver. It's got very few options. It's got the sunroof, it's got heated seats. It is the pre-LCI, so it's got this different bumper design compared to the LCI variant. I don't mind the way that it looks, but it definitely is a distinctive look, whether you like it or not. In some aspects it looks pretty cool, but in other aspects it's just a little bit unusual. Alright, so as I said earlier, when I bought it, it unfortunately had a few problems, but I guess that's no real surprise, especially considered it was a trade-in. So first thing that I replaced was the valve cover or the rocker cover, whatever you want to call it. So the reason why I replaced it was because it was starting to leak and there was a lean mixture fault, and the PCV, which is this part here, was also leaking, and there was a lean mixture fault. So I replaced that, hoping it was going to be two birds, one stone kind of thing. And as I would soon realize, this would not solve the problem, but it needed to be replaced anyway. A lot of these covers, they're clearly made out of plastic and they can just get brittle and start cracking, so I thought it would be best to just replace it. So I was still dealing with this lean mixture fault, and it was pretty irritating, to be honest with you. So I ran air mass tests on ISTA, and I found that it wasn't particularly helpful. Initially it told me to first replace the front main seal because of a vacuum leak, but I just didn't really believe it. So this fresh air pipe here, the pipe that runs like the turbo inlet pipe, I replaced that because I was looking a bit old and perished. That didn't do anything, although it needed to be replaced anyway. And it was also coming up for a service, so a major service, which requires the spark plugs to be changed. So I did the major service, and on cylinder number 4, which you can just see here hopefully, the spark plug was quite wet and it stank like fuel. So it seemed like there was a problem with the fuel injector itself, either being stuck open or anyway, it seemed as though the fuel injector was faulty because potentially it was stuck open. So I opted to replace that particular fuel injector just to see if it would fix the problem, because that was the one that seemed like it had a fault with it. And to my surprise, it fixed the problem. So I then went ahead and replaced the other 5 injectors, and this solved my lean mixture fault, which was quite exciting to me anyway. So to actually replace the fuel injectors on this car, you do need a special tool, which I just borrowed from work. And so that was pretty good. Otherwise, this car's actually been really good to me. So it's currently done 130,000 kilometers. The only real other things that I've had to replace on this car have been I replaced the front caster arm bushings once with a set of OE equivalent Marley ones, which is meant to be a reputable brand. These only lasted about 3 months before they started to crack and just deteriorate. I did some more research after they failed and found out that a lot of Marley's components are made overseas. So some parts are made in Brazil and some parts are made in China. So maybe that explains why the quality wasn't as good. A lot of Marley stuff used to be made in Germany, but that doesn't really seem to be the case anymore. And because I replaced the caster arm bushings once, you can only reuse the caster arm once, just due to the fact that it's a cast aluminum piece and it wears each time you replace the bushing. So I replaced the whole arm and this fixed the problem. The new arm also came with a new ball joint that bolts to the knuckle, so that was also nice because that was probably going to need replacement within the next year or two, just due to age and mileage. So Two birds, one stone. It just cost me a lot more than what I thought. Otherwise, this car's been really good. So I still think that the F20 135i is still a fantastic car, especially for the money. It really is a performance bargain that you can drive every day and still take to the track every so often. And they're relatively affordable. And the step up in price between this and an M140, they're close to double the price, and they definitely aren't double the car. But at the same time, if you can afford it, I would definitely go the 140 because of the B58, which it's a much better engine than the N55. These really do drive really well, and they really are a cut price modern M car, which is exactly where they were positioned in the market as an M Lite. They were not positioned as like a full M car, which is part of the reason why they've got that fake ELSD, which is, it works well enough, but it's definitely not an equivalent solution. Because if you think about it, what else can you get for around $20,000 to $25,000 range that is comfortable, well made, it's decently reliable, it's got a nice interior, it's pretty quick, it's a good daily driver, and you can take it to the track. And it's not going to fall to pieces and just overheat. There isn't really anything else, unless you want a front-wheel drive hatchback, which I'm not really a fan of. A lot of people bag on the N55 saying it's like a horrendous engine, but it's actually really good. But if you want to compare it to other stuff like the B58 and the S55 or S58, then it's clearly inferior. But it's nothing to be sneezed at the same time. So overall, I would definitely recommend one of these if you're looking for just a really fun daily and weekend, especially if you consider the next level, like the next step up in performance in terms of cost is really high. So you have F80 M3s and F87 M2 N55s, and they're around the $50,000 mark, which is definitely an expensive car to a lot of people anyway. It is to me. What else is there for less than $50,000? Or if you're in the US, what else can you get for $30,000 US? Now I know you never got these in the US. You got M235i, but it's essentially the same car. Those came out in 2014, and they had the EWG turbo, which is, well, it's better. It's better than the PWG for sure. Because you have the 350Z, the Toyota 86 or the Scion FRS, whatever you want to call it, Subaru WRX, Golf R. But I feel like this has the better blend of being a quick and respectable car that's useful. It's got 5 doors, 5 seats, pretty good on fuel, it's pretty reliable. It's hard to beat, really. So overall, I would definitely recommend an M135i or M235i. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in a couple days.